throughout Australia. Welcome to 3AW's Round 19 coverage of the 2018 AFL Premiership season.
A big goal there. Bombers go forward again, although Langford was run down by Luke Ryan. Umpire called play on. Myers got a handball to a run.
Live from Etihad Stadium, it's Essendon versus Sydney.
He kicked it straight to Franklin, 80 from goal. Lance gobbles it up, turns around, goals, kicks a monster.
The McDonald's 3AW is football.
It certainly is. Thank you, Craig Willis. Good evening again, everyone. Welcome to Etihad Stadium for the start of round 19. What a massive weekend of football we've got for you on 3AW, thanks to McDonald's. Of course, the main course is tomorrow afternoon, Richmond and Collingwood. A huge game here tonight, though. The Bombers and the Swans, Crows and the Demons tomorrow night as well. And a couple of very big games on Sunday, in particular that first game, North Melbourne and West Coast down in Hobart. We have got plenty to get through this evening. The opening bounce is about 9 minutes away. And as we said, there is a massive crowd assembling here under the roof at Docklands. It's been a beautiful day in Melbourne, and we expect a very big game of football tonight. Bruce Eva with you, to be rejoined by Dwayne Russell at the opening bounce, Tony Shaw and Matthew Lloyd in completing the team tonight. Down on the boundary, let's get down to Jackie Reid, who'll be there all night for Master Builders. Is your builder a Master Builder?
Good evening again, guys. As you said, there is a nice crowd building down here. Mark Harvey said earlier he expected probably around 48,000 people to venture out here today, given it was such a beautiful day in Melbourne and the roof is closed. And it is a bit of an elimination final for the Bombers tonight. The Swans, of course, they want to rebound from that upset loss to the Suns last weekend, probably the loss of the season, if not the last 5 years at least. The Bombers, well, they've won 7 of their last 9 games now. They're on a bit of a roll. The Swans have a very good record against the Bombers, as we've spoken about, though. They've won 10 of their last 11 versus the Dons. And interestingly, these two teams haven't faced each other in Melbourne since 2014. So it's been a long wait for Essendon fans to see the Swans down here in Melbourne.
Good on you, Jackie, and those numbers at the end. Very good stats indeed for Corrimal Windsor Caravans. $3,000 FPOS card with all stock vans purchased. As Jackie said, the Sydney Swans on an 8-match winning streak against the Bombers, and the fact that they, the last 5 have been all up in the Harbour City, including that elimination final last year where they hammered the Bombers by 65 points. Essendon 4-2 at Etihad this year, gentlemen, and the Swans 3-1. Their only loss to Richmond on the Thursday night a few weeks ago by 26 points. Time for our burning questions. Still 7 minutes away from the opening bounce as we drill down into this big clash tonight. And Lloydie, we might start with you, given you're a spearhead, and I want to start with a full-back. Can you shed any light on the use or the lack of it regarding Heath Grundy over the past fortnight? Rested for the game here against North 2 weeks ago, but then plays Neefle last week and had to sit in the grandstand and watch that collapse against the Gold Coast Suns. It has to be described as bizarre.
It is bizarre. I thought he was playing quite well, Beaver, but I worry for Heath Grundy, because when a coach comes to you and says we're going to manage you and we're not going to play you this week, you'd be concerned for your career and your future, because I think they don't do that to players that they want in their best 10 players in the game. I've never seen them come to Patrick Cripps or Lance Franklin and say we're going to manage you this week. So that's what happened to him 2 weeks ago, and then he didn't get back in last week either. So he needs to play well, otherwise he might find himself under the pump come the end of the year.
Yeah, sure. I think they might have got ahead of themselves last week, thinking maybe up against the coast it'll just happen. So that was the issue. And Heath Grundy, look, they're still one of the best defences in the competition. He plays off his man, he plays on the bigger bloke, and then likes to get in the front position and get someone to come across as that intercept player. So I think he's been a really good player, but it comes to the end for everybody, and his body type mightn't be suiting the modern game.
On the subject of Grundy, he'll probably play on Mitch Brown tonight, who a month shy of his 28th birthday will finally reach 50 AFL games this evening. He's in good form, kicked 3 against the Dockers last round, and now in the absence of Sean McKernan becomes super important for the rest of the season. It is a remarkable story, the Mitch Brown story.
Well, it is. He just keeps playing. Is that his 50th game tonight?
Yeah, 50th game tonight, month short of turning 28.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? But, good luck to him. There's been players who have been along those lines too, have played a lot of football but just haven't played games. So that's the way it happens. And, yeah, look, he's got lots of flexibility. They're used in both ends of the ground, so the flexibility is the one thing, but great to see he's getting continuity.
Yeah, he's just been one of those players. He was at Geelong in such a powerful era where he just couldn't get an opportunity, a lot of injuries as well, and then to be behind Danaher, Hurley, Hooker, just never had a chance. But now with Danaher and also McKernan going down, he should play the last 5 games and give himself every chance.
And, of course, the Bombers tonight making 3 changes, and one of the ends is Aaron Francis. What do you expect, firstly, Lloydie, what do you expect from Aaron Francis tonight? A fortnight away from his 21st birthday, but just his 6th senior game and his first senior game of 2018, and it's on the big stage Friday night in such a critical clash.
Oh, it's great to see. He's got so much talent. It's why the Bombers took him at pick 5 in the draft. So it might have even been 3, actually, in the draft a number of years ago. And obviously his probably mindset has fluctuated too often for him. He's had some heartbreak, some family issues and all those sorts of things. So if Port or Adelaide wanted him last year, he would have been playing for them. But it's good to see him back playing AFL footy, because some thought he'd never play again earlier in the year. So good to see him fit at the moment.
I think he's an intercept player.
Yeah,
the way he goes about it, I like how he plays there. So probably the back half, I think, Pete.
He can play at either end, though, but I agree, he'll start in the back half.
Now, an announcement from the AFL this week as well. There's so many great causes that the AFL supports, and we'd just like to give a mention tonight. The AFL and the Australian Government, through the Organ and Tissue Authority, have once again joined forces to support Donate Life Week 2018, and the big Donate Life logo is out alongside the major sponsor Toyota logo on the ground this evening. It'll be on all of the AFL grounds around the weekend. Donate Life Week, which runs from July 29 to August 5, aims to encourage Australians to make their organ donation decision count by joining the Australian Organ Donor Register online to help end the wait for the 1,400 Australians in need of a life-saving transplant. So, along with the online registration form at www.donatelife.gov.au, Australians can still join the Australian Organ Donor Register online via the MyGov, Medicare Express Plus and Department of Human Services websites, and by submitting printed forms. But it is a
you a donor,
course.
Beaver? You a donor?
I must admit, I'm not on the register.
Well, you
but
should be on it.
Exactly.
You should be on it. Other than I said to him, you're not getting me liver, because that'll be useless by the time I finish with it, Beef. They can have everything else except my liver. Now, if my liver's going, they can have that too. But you can. You should be a donor. I think everybody. How can it hurt unless from some religious thing it doesn't happen? But all my kids are, and my wife. So, it's saved a lot of lives.
Well, given your liver's got you through 72 years, I reckon it's probably worth
72 years now, isn't it? It was 58 last week.
After that argument you guys had earlier, obviously Beef doesn't want you donating your prize.
Oh, well, I'll take some of his hair. Can you have a hair donor or what?
That's true.
2 minutes from the opening bounce. Some final thoughts, gentlemen. Who is going to win this one and why? It's 11th versus 4th, but there is plenty of love for the Bombers, given Sydney's inconsistent recent form, losing 3 of their past 4.
Tell you what, I find it extremely hard to bet against the Sydney Swans. To pick the Sydney Swans up. They've come off a loss, Lordy. They get your respect anytime they go out in the footy field, and I think they'd be really up for this game, there's no doubt. But I'm going with the Bombers. I just think they might be this hard track here at Etihad Stadium, that they might be just a bit quick on the outside. And they've been in pretty good form. Orazio Fantasia, 9 goals in 2 games, has just given them another lift in the last fortnight after missing a couple of games. He's one player I think is pretty important. Belchambers has taken his game to another level, so he's giving him first use of the ball. And then they're starting with, Jake Stringer comes back in. You don't know what you're going to get every week with Jake, but we know he's a talented player. And they've got, a lot of blokes. Devon Smith has become a defensive beast as a small forward. So I'm going with Essendon, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Swans are in this for a long way, Lordy.
Yeah, I reckon there'll be a bit of feeling in this one. Let's see if there's any pushing and shoving early in this game, because obviously the Swans have got top 4 at stake. The Bombers, they lose this, they're out of the finals race. So just feel that, like Shorey, I just think Essendon are going better. They're the informed side, won 7 of their last 9. They've beaten the Giants, they've beaten the West Coast Eagles. I think the Swans need a Kennedy, Parker, Heaney, Franklin, those types. Yeah, it is on behind the goals in the Essendon forward line. Swans defence, bit of pushing and shoving, but the Swans are at line on too few. Essendon, I think, are more even and can win this game of footy.
It is Justin Schmidt, Sam Hay and Sean Ryan in control tonight. The Bombers and the Swans to kick off round 19 for McDonald's First quarter for Chemist Warehouse. And here's Dwayne Russell to take up the call
Free
on
kick,
3W
free
footy.
kick.
And we're not going to have an opening bounce.
No, Jones has been reported. Free kick. Mark Harvey warned us that this might happen. So Jones has been reported. And the free kick is exactly where he was when the free kick infringement was. Myers bangs the kick towards goal. And there's been a post hit in the back pocket by Stringer. And I reckon the post's come off worse. Stringer's bounced up and he looks okay. So a bizarre start to this. A behind to the Bombers after a free kick before the start of the game. And they lead by that on the Chemist Warehouse scoreboard. Here's the beef.
Lloyd kicks out quickly to Papley, who darts a little one inboard to the skipper. Kennedy overcooked the handball and had to be mopped up by Cunningham. Got it back to Kennedy. Handball to Grundy. He's going to be pinged. He should be. Fantasia. Brilliant tackle, unrewarded. The clearing kick lands in the arms of McCartan. He kicks the centre half forward. Plenty of Swans there. And the mark has been taken by Hayward right on forward 50. What about that non-decision, Lloydie?
I was just more watching the Jones punch to the Merritt face. He won't play next week.
Okay, Hayward kicks towards full forward and the mark's been taken. It looks like Parker. He's got it on a 45-degree angle, only 20 to 25 out. And we'll go back and line up for the first goal of the night.
How was it on the Howe Patrick Cripps meter?
I think it's not far off, Dwayne. Okay. So not far off. So there's 1 to 2 weeks in it. Undisciplined, just a left punch to the face of Zach Merritt.
And Buddy's been hitting the sternum too, boys, so he's a bit sore behind plate.
Another little spot fire. Callum Sinclair clattering in to Zach Merritt, as all eyes are now on Luke Parker, and he kicks the goal.
And they're in the Merritt again as well.
Yeah, but 4 or 5 Swans come at Zach Merritt, and the Bombers supporting their mate pretty quickly. So little spot fires again break out. Sydney 1 straight 6. Essendon 1 behind after 100 seconds. And that is all on the Chemist Warehouse scoreboard.
Occasionally you can have some dud pre-game interviews with assistant coaches, but Mark Harvey, he lit the fuse, didn't he?
And he predicted which player it was and everything. We thought it was McGrath they went after. Well, he said no, it was Zach Merritt, and they've gone after him again tonight. Zach Jones at him again.
I tell you what, the impact wasn't massive, but it did look very similar to the punch, and we're just seeing the replay on Buddy too. He's got one right in the sternum. From the
restart. Great to have your company. This one is well and truly alive early. Free kick in the middle. It'll be Heppel's ball, as you can hear from the Essendon fans. And this is a monster crowd here that Eddie had.
That Buddy one, though, he went looking for the contact, didn't he? Quickly in the Yarra Valley and Croydon 2 out of replay. I think it was McKenna who he bumped into.
So the footy gods are up for the bully rule by the looks of that. Buddy's hurt himself doing it. From the long kick forward, McDonald, Tippin, Woody. He couldn't trap it. Big pack around it. Scrambled away. Sinclair just got it out in time. Floated by Florent towards the wing. Bouncing ball. Saab there. Couldn't get the read the bounce. Gathered by D. He gave it up towards Goddard. He goes all the way back. Saad looks up. He's got a couple of options. That's the horrible option. He's turned that over to McCartan. He hands it off to Kennedy. He's got Franklin running back towards goal. Puts it back there long. It might go all the way itself. It bounces. Hits the post. Only a behind.
Gee, their rebound's been unbelievable. The Swans just coming through the corridor. That was a horrible turnover by Saad.
You've packed more highlights into the first 3.25 minutes than some of the dud early season Friday night games had in the full 2 hours. Hurley with the kick in, and everyone just takes a deep breath as Hurley assesses his options, kicks to himself, runs only a couple of metres and then bangs it about 60 in the Bell Chambers direction, who juggles it but doesn't quite complete the mark. Heppel gets a little handball out wide. Merritt, first meaningful touch of the night, tried to give it back to Devon Smith, who missed it. Gives a little whack towards Zach Jones, who's coming off for a rest, and we'll have a boundary throw in about 80 around from the Sydney goal. 7 plays 1. The Swans with the only goal of the game. 4 minutes in on the Chemist Warehouse scoreboard.
Back into play. Bell Chambers got a little touch on it. Heppel caught. Florent tried to trap him. Papley picked it up. Blasted top of the square. Franklin up. Can't take the contested mark. He nearly got hands on it. Ball flicked back towards Hurley. He slaps it out towards Saad. Last on the defence. Full of run. Gave it to Goddard. Back pocket. Spears the pass. And Brown in this milestone game takes the mark on defensive 50 for the Bombers.
Michael Hurley got the job on Lance Franklin, and Nick Smith the job on Orazio Fantasia.
Brown kicks in the stringer direction. He rose high on the back of O'Riordan but didn't take the mark. Bagley got a bit of a push from Rampy, and in fact it was an illegal push in the back, says umpire Hay. And Mark Bagley, the rebranded small forward. What a success it's been. You didn't like that goal,
Not a lot in that. No. And Rampy's got Stringer too, so
that will be a great battle. So Bagley, again, nothing on short. Roosted inside forward 50. Bell Chambers was the target. Pushed out of the contest. McDonald tipping Woody at the back. And he gets a little push in the side as well. Goes tumbling over the boundary line along with the yellow Sharon. And we'll have a throw in only about 5 or 6 metres around from the Essendon goal. Right forward pocket at the southern Lakeside Oval or Bob Skilton statue end of the stadium.
Yeah, your number 20 umpire got that one wrong. That little push in the back. Beaver was in the side. Ball knocked down towards Stringer. Can't get it. Smith fed it back. Rampy kicks it outside defensive 50. McCartan. Nice grab. Centre half back. Holds it up. Chemist Warehouse scoreboard. Sydney 1-1. Essendon probably had more of the play. One behind. Spanked long towards Franklin on the wing. Couldn't get there. D takes the mark. Hands it off. Here's the run. Little poke past McKenna. He missed Hooker. Might still work. Brown's got it for the Bombers. Kept it low. And outside of the boot to Heppel. Did he mean that?
Don't think so, Dwayne.
Heppel 60 from goal. Heads long. Stringer up. Big fierce ramp. He got it down to ground. A chance. That's high on Zaharakis. Any higher it would have missed him altogether and not been a free.
Yeah, really poor there from Callum Sinclair. Just did not bend the knees. He had to get lower. But it's just crude there from Callum Sinclair because Zaharakis didn't go searching for it. It was just a poor tackle.
That's just someone who's lost the plot at the moment. This has been pretty hot in the kitchen, and you just got to control that.
4th free kick for the Bombers.
So Zaharakis from directly out and from 35 out to kick the Bombers' first goal. He got it. And she's all tied up. Chemist Warehouse scoreboard 7 minutes in. 1-1-7 apiece. Matthew Lloyd, Tony Shaw, 3RW footy for Macca's.
Well, they're starting to get their best side back together. Zaharakis was a big loss through a period. Fantasia's been a big loss. You look at Sydney. No McVeigh, Jack, Hanbury, Reid, Malikan and Mills, whereas Essendon, I know they've had Danaher out, McKernan, but I think they're building nicely, more so than where they're at early in the year, Short.
So 7 points apiece, as Lloydie just touched on. David Zaharakis returned last week from that shoulder injury. He missed, about 4 or 5 weeks?
You know what, Beeb? We haven't got the starting points in, but if you look now, it's pretty well where the starting points will be. So well done to both coaches taking it on.
Who's going to go or not between you two?
It just
from the
restart.
Heaney with the clearance, left foot kick out towards left half forward. Buddy was the target. Hurley met it full chested though and charged away from the big Budster. Banged it down forward to centre wing. 2-on-1 favour the Swans. Great contest by Fantasia. Gets it towards the boundary line, and in fact in the end the Bombers probably wanted it to stay in. Devon Smith had about a metre on Heaney, but the ball just trickled over the boundary line. A throw in between wing and half forward on this Medallion Club side, favouring in the end the Bombers kick in the opening term.
Back into play. Beyond Chambers, Sinclair, ball knocked down to the front. On the wing, Heppel shoots out a handball. Tackle laid on the boundary, and we'll get a ball in, I'd reckon. More push and shove, more... What did Eddie call it last night? Humpo bumpo. As we go down to Jackie Reid.
It's interesting to note, boys, down here at boundary level, I can see Steve Hocking sitting with the umpires in the second row of their little dugout there.
Might have his spray gun with him to get out there and just make that goal square a bit bigger at quarter time from the restart. Actually hits Sinclair on the back. Good. In fact, Parker charges through. Heaney's there in support. Little handball to Zach Jones. He's running lateral, and then Cook kicks an awkward thing across his body, which dribbles out towards right half forward. Hayward read it better than Matty D. Charges towards goal. 25 out and hits the post.
He's a good player.
So they've hit the post twice. Kennedy and now Hayward. And it breaks the deadlock momentarily, Shorey. 1-2-8 the Swans, 1-1-7 the Bombers.
He's a very talented youngster, this bloke.
Long kick in towards Bagley, thumped away from him towards the boundary, and we'll get a ball in. Shorey, 60 from the Sydney Swans goal.
26 goals, 14 he's kicked this year, so pretty good return.
Good crowd, 45,000 plus, and they're still coming in, aren't they, Beef? We had a caller pre-game saying that they couldn't buy a seat. Now I can see why. They look like they're all going to be taken by the time we hit quarter time. Here, another roller towards the boundary line, and it's out of play again.
Probably be the biggest crowd that Eddie had for the season. We need to check on it. We think it was the Richmond-Sydney game a few Thursdays ago, but this looks much bigger than that.
Yeah, this will throw up the theory that if you put a decent game on a Friday night, people will come and watch it.
It's spiteful and feisty tonight, and that's just in the commentary box. From the restart, Zarakis tried to force it forward, and Kennedy went to ground. He looked around saying, I was caught high. Umpire Sean Ryan says, no, you weren't. Throw it in again, right next to the interchange gates. 10 minutes into the opening term. It is 1-2 the Swans, 1-1 the Bombers. Zarakis and Parker, the respective goal kickers. Bellchambers and Sinclair, 0-0 draw. In fact, they both swipe at it and it goes tumbling back towards the boundary line, and Zach Merritt sees it over, gets a little bump from Josh Kennedy, who in turn gets a little bump from David Myers. Now, they want to outlaw that, Lloydie, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Don't like that.
No
don't like that. Another matchup I'm loving tonight. Ronk, who's just in great goal-kicking form, up against Sard, who's just so dynamic off half-back. So, sensational matchups everywhere.
From the ball in, no one going anywhere in a hurry. Myers had a chance, couldn't get away with it. Merritt lays a tackle, looked a little high from this angle. He's going to get him holding the ball, and he's got him by the ear.
Too many stoppages. They didn't like that.
Yeah.
So, the trial rule as well.
Just free.
Too many stoppages.
Yeah, get it going.
Merritt, it's right next to Steve Hocking as well. Merritt's got it on the wing.
We've got to move on, don't we? Just for tonight.
No, short pass to Heppel. Did St Kilda lose that internal trial during the week, by the way? Heppel's short pass is good to Bagley, who takes the mark on the wing, got a little ear massage on his way through. He looks up. Not a lot to go to just yet. And now he heads along. Chance for the leapers in. Alia. Good grab. He was the highest, and he had the big long reach, and he took the mark in the back pocket for the Swans. 1-2 plays 1-1. Swans lead.
His intercept marking is superb. He goes all the way back to the Irishman in O'Riordan, who kicks it quickly to a one-on-one between Papley and McKenna. Lock arms, contest vigorously, and the ball gets to the back of that contest and rolls out of bounds 60 around from the Essendon goal.
Buddy's had a huge stint on the bench with all these stoppages. He just cannot get back on the ground at the moment.
Bellchambers takes front position, wins the tap. Merritt will run onto it. Doubles back onto his left foot. Another inside 50 for the Red and Blacks. Alia in best position to mark. Might have been Sport, but his own man. Heppel got a little handball. It might have been Myers or Langford, in fact. Centering ball. Well done by Fantasia. Backhanded to Zarakis. Handballs to Goddard. Little side step, then almost stumbled. Left foot snap was charged down by young Dawson. Comes back to Aaron Francis.
Oh, that's not 10.
And he speared the pass to McDonald, Tipperwoody, and he could almost handed it to him, sure.
Oh, look, he has kicked that 7 yards, I'd say. and please, the umpire was right there. Make a decision. We'll see where he grabs the ball. And it was Goddard who, well, he did it pretty well. Sold the dummy but slipped over.
Did Goddard do that deliberately so he could get 2 stats?
But I'm telling that has gone about 8 metres, I reckon. But anyway.
So McDonald, Tip and Woody for the lead. For the Bombers second. Dead in front. 40 out. Goal. And this big crowd, as you expect, dominated by Red and Black. Rises 1. Essendon 2-1 13. Sydney 1-2-8. We're 13 minutes in. That's on the Chemist Warehouse scoreboard. And in fact, we've just been told by our head of footy the biggest crowd so far at the stadium this year was the Essendon North game back in, I think it was about round 15, just over 45,000.
Corrimal wins a stats, just owning possession at the moment, owning the ball in their front half of the ground. 6-4 inside 50s, 37 disposals to 23. Heppel, he's in sensational form at the moment, up to 7 disposals. Buddy back on the ground, so I think they weren't happy with that chase on Hurley earlier on. So I think wasn't happy. Straight to the phone he was.
And we'll talk more about the Zach Jones report shortly as well at quarter time, because more needs to be talked about in that area. It was a bizarre start to the game to see the Swan reported. Nick Smith's marked it at centre half back, gives it off to Alia, and he runs. They give him some space, pokes the pass out wide. Mark taken by O'Riordan, held up, not a lot to go to just yet. They almost left him free and allowed that kick to go to him, and the Irishman pumps it down the wing to Heaney, who floats in early. McKenna, he can't get away with it on the wing. Merritt's got it, gave it to McDonald, Tip and Woody. Heaney picked his pocket, gave the handball up just in time. Short pass is good to Sinclair. He's 60 out, pops it in the pocket to Buddy, and Buddy's got it 45 out, 45-degree angle to the Boos.
Where I reckon Hurley, I think when there's pressure down the ground, Hurley's it was fantastic, but I still think when there's not pressure, he's just got to stay closer to Franklin.
You know what happened then? I know what you say, Lordy, but Bell Chambers dropped off Sinclair, so he was probably trying to zone off a bit more because he thought he had help in the corridor.
Opens up the angle and they let him open it up, and he kicks it across the face. Big mark taken in the forward pocket by Fox. The flying Fox has got it in the forward pocket.
How good was that?
That was a great grab. Opens up the angle and misses. An anticlimax there, really. It's a good grab, though. Essendon 2-1, Sydney 1-3. So 13 plays 9 opening term for Chemist Warehouse.
Goddard kicks to himself, runs only about 5 and kicks at 55. Bell Chambers just plucked it out of the hands of Zach Jones, the man on report early. The kick left a lot to be desired, though. Showed too much of it to Grundy, who took the intercept mark, just chipping in front of Mitch Brown. So Grundy looks up at a crowded forward line, and he kicks it to where it's easily Essendon outnumbering, and in fact Goddard takes a pretty comfortable mark under a bit of pressure from Fox. You prefer a flying Fox to Fox on the run?
Oh, I like it. Sweet. Sweet from you, Beep.
Goddard inboard to Parrish. We better quit while we're behind, I think. Parrish goes lateral. They're still inside defensive 50, the Bombers. Matty D takes the mark, almost at left half back. Lowers the eyes and goes short to Zach Merritt. Still inside defensive 50 as the Swans set up that wall across the centre line. Merritt hugs the boundary line. He kicks to a one-on-one. Bagley goes to ground. Lloyd keeps his feet. Florence there as well. And eventually the boundary line is the winner for a throw-in. Centre wing on the city side of the stadium. The Bombers going to the northern or Footscray end in this first quarter. Sorry, the Bombers going to the southern end, aren't they? The Swans going to the...
What did you call that end before? Why did you refuse to call it the Lloyd end?
No, one's a Fletcher, one's a Lloyd.
It's the Bob Skilton statue during the week.
Picked up by Smith for the Bombers. Short pass toward half forward. High inside 50. A chance towards McDonald, Tip and Woody. Rampy, McDonald, Tip and Woody. Rampy got a fist on it. McDonald, Tip and Woody dives in. Holds it into the area. 25 out from the Bombers' goal. Under some pressure, the Swans. Too far out to rush it. Lloyd down the Lloyd end. He gets a little hand pass out just in time. Got it to Cunningham. Blasted towards half-back. McCartan fist. Well, in fact, Fox's fist knocked it straight down to Sard. He kicks inboard. Nice delivery to Guelphy. He gave it up to Myers. He sends it long inside 50.
Free kick.
Free kick for a push in the back, Lloyd.
Oh, no doubt.
Shorey, not paid though. Smith's got it in the pocket. Bends it around towards goal. And he's kicked the behind of the night. Pancake parlour behind of the night. Not so lovely. 1-3-9 plays 2-2-14. Bombers lead. 17 gone. Opening term for Chemist Warehouse.
Rampy to Newman. Low ball, almost to centre wing. Fox flies again. Oh, Essendon players come down. I think it's Matty D who's banged his head on the turf as he's landed, and he's in trouble. The Swans move it forward quickly, and what a terrific mark by Papley. Oh, Goddard's hurt his knee.
Oh, wow.
Goddard's clutch for the left knee in exactly the same spot that Bob Murphy hurt his knee against the Hawks a couple of years ago. He's up on his feet now, BJ.
And Day doesn't know what Day is.
Day's just head-butted the ground. Yeah. Couldn't put his hand down. He was out just as soon as he hit it.
Yeah, he's going to have to be stretched off. So they need to stop play here. He's got a concussion injury. Has to stop play.
Well, Papley's going to take the kick before the stoppage. Drop punter's on the way, and it's a goal. And it gives the Swans the lead. And our Swans crashed into Brendan Goddard again, who's gone down on this dodgy knee, but more concerned for Matty D. In fact, let's get down to Jackie Reid on the boundary for Master Builders.
Yeah, boys, the stretcher has come out now. Dr. Bruce Reid is out on the ground. They're waving to the umpires to say stop the play. You're right. He hit his head really hard on the ground. It almost looked like he was tunnelled a little bit. It sort of fell really awkwardly, and he's tried to lift his head up, I can see, so he looks like he's awake. But they're obviously erring on the side of caution there, and they'll probably try to whack the neck brace on him as well.
So think about our game, Jackie. Players can come from all directions. So I don't think there was anything untoward from any Sydney player in regards to Matty D. Just unfortunate the way he landed and had his body taken out. But good to see Brendan Goddard up and about. We thought it could have been something very serious with his knee. But he's ready to go for this centre bounce. But one rotation down this early, that'll really hurt the Bombers.
Is there a free kick in the middle here for the Goddard?
I think it was. The umpire looked like he blew his whistle, Dwayne, and then ran towards it, but are they setting up? The umpire is setting up the bounce, and I thought it was a free kick.
Yeah, I reckon it is. The umpire's blown his whistle. Goddard's been knocked down by
right,
Papley.
And if you look at the way the players are setting up for the resumption, it's...
they're all coming down.
All the Swans forwards are... There's no 6, 6 and 6, of course,
Matty
tonight,
D,
Shuri.
Matty D.
2-3-15 the Swans, 2-2-14 the Bombers. That's on the Chemist Warehouse scoreboard. And this stoppage with the Matty D concussion is with 7:43 remaining in the opening term.
Apparently they're going to let you guys have 7, 7 and 7, though, Steve, so that'll help you guys next year. 2-2-14 to 2-3.
The one thing we should be looking for, though, and I mean this, and not to keep going, but when we see something in the play where it can be, and how our players are going to have to pull away, say if we do the one where there's a contest on the wing, Lloydie, and just to watch it and say, all right, there's only one in the forward 50, where will these players run back from? You know, that's something to look at, I reckon, as a commentator, and try and explain it, because everybody, we're going to have to go through it sooner or later with the rules and the experiment, and we've got Gill and Steve Hocking both on the sidelines together. So what's going on here, boys? Is it something being trialled, Dwayne? Or,
No. I think they're just here to watch the game. I reckon
real close, though, on the bench.
It's a blockbuster game. Well, they probably know each other reasonably well, and you're allowed to pick your partners as to who you watch the game with.
No, I think it's an official thing. They're close to the benches, aren't they? Trying maybe to see something out there. I thought a bit more.
Well, I suppose they get the good seats.
Yeah, sometimes.
So D being loaded onto the stretcher here. There is a lull here with the fans a little worried about his condition. You hear the applause. So he will take no further part in this game. He's concussed enough, I think, for us to probably say that's it, even though he hasn't done a test yet and we don't really know the extent
All the Essendon boys come over.
Of the injury. But the way it landed, it did look as if it was the kind of head knock on the ground, as Jackie described as well, that is going to stop him from playing any further part in the game.
Tigers have set the with the Reece Conker injury a few weeks ago.
If you don't come over and touch your mate on the head,
everyone must come over.
But if he's got a head injury, it's probably best if you just touch him on the leg.
Touch him on the leg, sorry. Yeah, but there's been 20 blokes that hit him on the head.
Yeah, no wonder he's not coming back on.
Oh, he shouldn't be laughing.
2-3-15 plays 2-2-14, 21 minutes gone opening term for Chemist Warehouse. Great to have Chemist Warehouse on board, of course. Wagner Body Science support that moves you, available at Chemist Warehouse. Free kick to the Bombers in the middle with the stretcher now moving off the ground. Here's Bruce.
And he gives the thumbs up, Matty D. Now, why
shouldn't Goddard take the free kick?
Or shouldn't the ruckman take the free kick? Because we're not going to have a bounce. And in fact, it's going to be...
Any midfielder's allowed to take it, aren't they, if they're in the centre square for the ball up? Doesn't have to be the ruckman.
I thought it was the ruckman.
I thought it was the ruckman. Well, Zaharakis.
He was the ruckman then.
And away we go again. He kicks high ball to right half forward. Punch away there by Jake Lloyd. There's plenty of numbers around the ball. Newman grabs the loose pill. Quick handball there to Lloyd, who kicks around the corner to centre wing. Essendon, though, in numbers at ground level. Saab with a handball to Goddard. Sweeps a handball then to Zaharakis, who pumps it back inside forward 50. Zach Jones overcommitted. McDonald, Tip and Woody tries to win it at ground level. Rampy comes storming through, went without it. Florent fed out a handball to Zach Jones, who sold it. Should have been pinged. McDonald, Tip and Woody with a perfect tackle after Zach Jones had had prior opportunity. He'd sold a dummy and then he got claimed. Let's have a look at the Yarra Valley and Croydon Toyota replay. That is a poor decision. We'll have a boundary throw in. We will have a boundary throw in 5 metres around from the Essendon goal.
Oh, I thought you named names, Beef. Ball back into play. Bell Chambers knocks it down. Grovey tried to spin out of trouble. Lloyd bumped on the kick and Heaney takes the mark. Half back, goes all the way back to Rampy at back pocket. He pumps it towards the wing. Chance for Hayward, gets up but early. Ball spanked away by McGrath. Back towards the boundary. Picked up by Parrish. Gave it to McGrath. Short pass to Heaney though, and he knocks it out accidentally. And we'll get a ball in half forward flank for Essendon, who trail by points. Swans 2-3. Essendon 2-2. Got some spice in it, this one.
It has. They're losing the game by 1 point, the Bombers, but their forward line pressure is a lead at the moment, led by Devon Smith and Tip and Woody.
Bell Chambers and Sinclair. Bell Chambers wins it down to Heppel. The skipper handballs to Zaharakis. Handballs to Parrish. And he gets pinged.
Same umpire too, Sean Ryan.
Sean Ryan, we do name names, Lloydie.
I reckon that got knocked out in the tackle then too, so they won't be happy in Essendon supporters.
And no one stands the mark, so Newman cribs about another 15 metres, kicks in the buddy direction. Hurley smashes it away, trying to run onto his Parker. Heppel had him for a long time. Umpire called play on. Buddy's got it again. Hurley right on his hammer. corner. Buddy tries to keep it alive. Bombers through Francis. Handball to Parrish. Handball to McGrath. There's some young talent there. Handball to Zaharakis. Kicks it to centre wing. Good contest there by an Essendon player who's gone down. Hurt again. Guelphy's.
He's hurt his knee.
Yep, he's hurt his knee or ankle. He's smashing the turf in frustration. He's going to limp straight off. Meanwhile, Rampy's got it. What a first quarter this has been as Rampy concedes ground to Cunningham.
We'll go down to Jackie Reid shortly, but he has come straight off Guelphy, and they might be 2 men down for the rest of the game. The Bombers, Sinclair on the wing. He heads to half forward. Papley's down there. Got rid of his man illegally. Free kick. And it is going to go to Aaron Francis. Return game. Good to see him back. Half-back flank. Pops the pass wide. May have turned it over. Bouncing ball. And Fantasia caught. Got it to Heppel. Gave it up to McGrath. He dances inside. Got out of trouble. Got it up towards Sard. He dances his way through the wing. Pokes the pass wide. Almost. It is. Picked up by Ronk. His kick smothered though. Ricochets out. Oh. And we'll get a ball in.
Free kick to Ronk.
Okay. For the anti-bullying rule.
No, Fantasia grabbed him around the neck when he ran at him. So.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, very antisocial that. Jackie Reid downstairs.
Matt Guelphy's having a look at his left knee. They're doing a bit of a structured test right now. Bruce Reid is overseeing that. He just asked him what happened. He's described it and they're going through the test now.
Ronk with the long kick down the line. Off hands. Is that Papley? It is. Takes an early bounce. Kicks under the arms of Hurley to full forward. Combined blood pressure or aggregate or average blood pressure here at the moment is about 240 on 160. There's another free kick's been picked out and it'll go to the Bombers. Zaharakis caught high by Josh Kennedy. This crowd is in uproar at the moment and Zaharakis will take the kick from the right back pocket. He'll look for Langford. Jones arrives late, awkwardly as well, was his landing as he thumped it out of bounds. 60 around from the Sydney goal. Sydney by a point, 2-3 to 2-2. 15 plays, 14. That's on the Chemist Warehouse scoreboard. We've still got 4:32 remaining in the opening term, which has been incident-filled.
Yeah. 8 threes to 1.
So the Bombers down, 1 man for the rest of the game. Guelphy at least giving the indication he might come back on and test that ankle. So that's good news for the Bombers there, even though D looks like he's done for the night. Free kick Swans. Too far out to score here, Parker.
Well, that's 8 threes to 2, Essendon's way. So they've been harshly done by.
Parker plays on. Here's to the goal square. Up flies Hooker. And he pulls down a ripper. 27 gone, or more importantly, 4 left in the opening term. And it's been action-packed. The big one being Jones being reported for the Sydney Swans, and according to Lloydie, will not play next week.
I think the difference in this game so far, 10 to 10 inside 50s, but I think Sydney have blazed away to Franklin, to McCartan and Hooker, and Hurley are looking very good in the air.
They chip it around. Eventually the exit kick from Hurley. It's a high kick to centre wing off hands. Heppel, Essendon fans screaming that he was caught high by Fox. Fox goes back in and gets it. Heppel returns the favour with a strong tackle, and umpire Schmidt says, I'll have it and I'll throw it up almost on centre wing position on the City side. Monster crowd in, and they are in full voice as well. Exciting opening term. Incidents galore. Bell Chambers wins the tap. Heaney with the clearance though. High kick over his left shoulder. It'll land inside forward 50. Hooker with the punch away. Francis tries to get it towards the boundary line. Kennedy got a little handball then to Ronk, whose kick was half battered down, and before McGrath can control it, it is over the boundary line. 35 to 40 around from the Sydney goal. Swans leading it by a point. We're almost 28 and a half minutes into the opening term. Still 3:17 to play.
And the ball in, 40 from the Swans goal. Ball comes out towards Sinclair. Oh, he danced through, through, and kicked the goal of the night. It's a pancake barler goal of the night. A dance, a spin, a goal, and they advance their lead with 2 minutes left in the quarter. 3-3-21 to 2-2-14 on the Chemist Warehouse scoreboard.
Great call, Dwayne. That was reminiscent of a Cochin goal in a final last year. I remember he just burst through a pack, did a bit of a blind turn and kicked the goal, but it's not something you expect to see from a ruckman. And this has been brilliant from Sydney in this first quarter. Yeah, they were so poor last week, but they're a proud team and they've come to play tonight. I know they usually do, Sydney, but this goal from Sinclair just got through McKenna far too easy. Francis, a few young defenders, and that's a goal they desperately needed.
Sydney with the first goal of the night. Bombers with the next 2. Swans with the 2 after that. Back in the centre. Heaney had it for a long time, stripped of it, and it bobbled its way to Bell Chambers, who kicked under pressure out towards Fantasia. Big turning circle to get around Nick Smith and then Cunningham. Low ball towards full forward. It shoots it up for Zarakis. It does, but he's run down by Zach Jones. Terrific tackle. And in fact, it's a rush behind. Both players in the footy are over the goal line. And a rush behind takes the Bombers to 2-3-15. Sydney 3-3-21. And we're almost 30 minutes in.
That wasn't a tackle. That was a mugging. He put him. He's going to have to pick the grass from his teeth. Ball wide towards Sinclair. Gets up. Can't mark it. Hayward crumbs it. Dispossessed though. Parker's got it. Handball was sloppy. Grabbed by Fox. Couldn't get away with it. Hayward's got it back again. Handball towards Smith. Scramble kick inside 50. And Alir gets on the end of that McKenna kick and takes the mark between back pocket and centre half back. And he backtracks. 21-15. Umpire tells him to play on. He goes wide to Smith. Just the required 15. He looks up. Not a lot free. Takes his full quota. Heads toward the wing and almost McCartan. And Bell Chambers has marked the double grabber. And he's got it on the wing and will send the Bombers forward again.
Looks inboard. Nothing on there. Signals he's going to kick long and strong, and that's what he does. Now, Alir could take mark of the year. He flew off hands. Devon Smith, claimed by Grundy, handballed it away straight into the path of Rampy. Swept the handball to Zach Jones. Bagley gives chase, but Jones on report gets the kick away quickly. Parrish
Downfield.
with the big spoil. Oh, downfield.
Yeah.
He did. I followed the ball, so Bagley did get him after the kick.
Yeah, he took him down. Took Zach Jones down. Didn't need to do it.
So Florent with the free kick at right half back, just outside defensive 50. Sydney leading it by 6 points. Still 80 seconds remaining until quarter time. High ball to centre wing. Big pack fly. McCartan and Hooker both had claims. Umpire called play on. Gets shoveled out the side of the contest. Parker searching for it in the grass. So Zarakis. McCartan goes in and gets it. His handball was errant. Close to the boundary line and it trickles over. The Swans players claim deliberate. More booing. We discussed with Scotty Lucas last Saturday in the Twilight game. They're good booers, the Essendon fans. During the,
they should be.
What's that say about them?
Oh, well, Scotty Lucas said even if they're, I think it was a little bit of...
They'll probably try and stop that happening soon too, Beef. No booing soon.
Okay.
Well, we certainly were discouraged from booing for a few Swans games last couple of years ago. Sinclair kicks long in the buddy direction. Hurley's got it. Roof shut. The Seagulls have been locked in tonight. There's about half a dozen of them inside and they aren't getting out in a hurry. Ball towards half-back. Down to 40 seconds. Good dance step inside by McKenna. Has a couple of bounces. Little poke pass is okay towards half-forward. Fantasia's got it. He's got a couple of options forward. Heads out wide towards Stringer. Used his body. Almost the mark. Almost an arm chop free. Lloyd to Jones. Half-back flank. Runs a full measure. About to be run down. Beats it back to Florent. He handballs it in. He's gone. Absolutely gone.
Should have played on there.
And with 13 seconds left, he's going to backtrack and maybe bomb it along to the square.
He doesn't know how long there is left. He's too far out to score. He might have just been told by the runner then. He looked across to the bench. We're down to 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
That's it.
Oh, no. He went to play on. And then out of frustration, he went the barrel.
Well, hang on. Because he played on. Was he called to play on and the kick doesn't count? Otherwise, they get it behind.
No, he kicked after the siren, so it doesn't count.
Played on doesn't count.
Well, you're allowed to pick after the siren if you haven't been called to play on. Did they call him play on?
Oh, they must have, because he stepped off his line. And was certainly haphazard defending by the Swans. But we need to take a break. So much to discuss from a first quarter that travelled almost 33 minutes. And the Swans lead it by 6 points at the first change. 3-3-21 to Essendon 2-3-15. What have you spotted, Lloydie?
Devon Smith has just sprayed his runner, saying, "Why weren't you out to me? I'm right near the interchange bench. You didn't tell me how long was left to go." So he thought he left a point or even a goal left begging there.
Yet another incredible flashpoint, if you like, from a first quarter full of them. Swans by 6 points. 3AW footy on a Friday night for Maccas.
This is the 2018 Toyota AFL Premiership season. This quarter brought to you by Chemist Warehouse, the home of real brands and real savings.